In this session, we are now going to explore how agencies are evolving. They're evolving into strategic business partners. But what does that kind of evolution really mean for our clients, for creativity, as well as collaboration? So let's find out by welcoming our panelists onto this stage. We're absolutely delighted to have with us Satya Raghavan, Director, Marketing Partners at Google India. We also have with us Rathi Gangappa, Chief Executive Officer, Starcom India. Also, Shubhranshu Singh, Chief Marketing Officer at Tata Motors Commercial Vehicles. And Ajit Varghese, Head of Revenue, Entertainment and International JioStar. A power-packed panel, and now let's meet our moderator for today. Let's welcome Kartik Sharma, Group CEO at Omnicom Media Group India. All right, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, big thank you to Goafest for inviting all of us. It's been a long hiatus for me. I'm coming here after 6 years, so thank you, Goafest, and thanks to PK for inviting me. The topic is very interesting. This is something that many of you as professionals here know. The panel here has, I'm guessing, anywhere between 25 to 30 years plus experience. So, and when we all started our careers, media was really a business of placement. All the big decision was where to advertise and put some ads on TV or print. From there, the media agency today has evolved, and we are in a very interesting phase of the journey of how India has also evolved. So I'm going to kick off and invite first Rathi. If you had to explain the media agency of today in one line, what would that be? And how different would that definition would have been if we had to answer 5 years ago? And from this placement to true partnership, how does it really look? So
yeah, thank you, Kartik. I think the biggest shifts we are seeing today is in the area of connectivity, right? Today, if you look at the media and the marketing environment, I mean, it is so volatile and changing that we have to wear different hats at any given point in time. And it's not just about placements anymore, right? And everything to do with partnerships is based on how we are able to collaborate and partner and connect the dots for our clients and brands, right? I mean, look at it today. I mean, as a media agency, we are talking to our clients about, building the dots between storytelling, media, creative, commerce, influencer, and even probably loyalty, right? And all of this underpinned by data and consumer insights. And actually, I would like to add one line and pick this off from what Arthur Sadoun, our Publicis Group CEO, says, right? It's no longer innovate or die, but it's actually connect or die. And I think everything today about partnerships in our industry is about connectivity. That's the change that I'm seeing.
Okay, Kartik, I think that's a very nice view, and maybe she's representing Publicis. What's Omnicom's view on this one?
So, folks, this is a pre-planned thing, okay?
This is what happens when you are in a panel with people who you've worked for long enough. This is not for me to answer it's not a Publicis versus Omnicom view, but it is about the industry, so I'm going to let it pass.
Getting out of that, Kartik, you have to answer it.
Ajit has managed, as usual, to disrupt the panel, so let's move on. Now, I think, well put, Rathi, some of your points. Let's also get a view from the advertiser's point of view. I'm going to invite Shubhranshu. Are brands truly ready for this, evolved version of what Rathi briefly spoke of the media agency, and how you as a marketer are assessing the agency value in this fairly expanded role, some examples which Rathi gave?
Well, first of all, I feel if you're looking at a partnership, between agency and client, I think in today's environment, in an increasingly digital world, that distinction is not about two teams living in two different offices. And I think the day is not far when almost every client agency interaction will have to be hybridized to the extent that some of them will be embedded in your facilities, some of them will be off-site, many others will be working almost as a consultant with you on future grazing projects. And I think the big distinction between the erstwhile setup and what today's change is demanding is where in the funnel do you see the partnership truly playing out for greater value. And I think back in the day, there was a single agency partnership model where they were doing everything across the funnel. And as I see it increasingly now, there is a top funnel requirement, there is an always on programmatic performance media, doing business as usual requirement, and there is an even greater need in this virtual world to have partners who could give meaningful experiences and engagement on ground. And I think it would be beyond the ken of any single partner to do all parts. And so I think within the orbit of an agency-partner relationship, you could have silos which do different jobs, but that expertise needs to come in through different doors. That is one whole area. The other thing is scale. You see, I don't think in today's world it's about the client writing a brief and the agency delivering on it. I feel that all of them are together playing catch-up. Earlier, at times, the agency may have been ahead of the agenda and teaching the client or helping and hand-holding the client. In some cases, the client understood his industry context and requirements better, and so the brief was sharp and the delivery was expected from the agency. Now, with the change and a host of new new inputs which are creating flux, AI being the latest latest development of this sort, I think everybody's in the catch-up mode. And in most cases, I find corporate resources are naturally strained and they look to the agency to provide superior solutions. And if there is lack of expertise, then things fall through the cracks. So I think before we get to value creation, we need to look at the assignment, the task assignment itself. And in the last part, I would say there is a domain expertise piece which is pretty much the same irrespective of which agency I work with. Then there is the process piece which by and large everybody can adapt to dependent on the client requirements. But there is a task motivation or understanding of the context, living in the skin of the consumer, delivering superior solutions that comes out of long gestation periods. And so I think the togetherness in the mix is important. Firstly, you must be very judicious about the choices you make. Once you make them, I think you should stick to it. It should work like a marriage.
Thanks, Shubhranshu. I think the evolving landscape and a lot of food for thought for all of us in the panel and also all the listeners out here. You spoke of the entire value chain. I'm going to invite Satya, and of course, Google is a mega company, so it'll be interesting to know from your view, Satya, how is actually tech enabling or even reshaping this evolution, which both Rathi spoke briefly and Shubhranshu's lens from the client side, and what's the role it plays in helping agencies build truly, data-driven, culturally relevant experiences, and I'm borrowing from what Shubhranshu said, all at scale. How do you?
Yeah. So I actually want to take a segue from what Shubhranshu said about defining the task and the consumer, right? And I think the way in which I look at an agency actually stems from that task and that consumer. A few years ago, it was a lot more simplistic. Show them an ad, and they will come to the shop, right? But now those journeys are all complicated. There might be a trend that is relevant. There might be an influencer that is relevant. Better understanding your consumer is even more important using first-party data. So I think that field has changed. I still would love to present an analogy of how I view the agency. So I think the agency is literally the CMO's superpower. So pinpointing that consumer is the most important task. Earlier it was the broadcast era, so show an ad and you are sitting expecting the consumer to be seated there and watch it. Then it moved to kind of a predictive era, which is, can I predict where the consumer is going to be? But now it's, can I generate that ad literally the moment the consumer walks into my shop, knowing a little bit more about, who they are through first-party data, through lookalike data. So technology then becomes that big enabler. And in my mind, the agency is exactly that for a CMO, which is use technology across their entire value chain to show the consumer the right ad at the right time, at the right moment, and so on.
Let me now come back to someone who I've worked very closely for many years. So Ajit, you've run a very successful media agency for decades, and now you're doing a very different role. So you have a perspective of two sides of this equation. And given your experience, and with what Rathi said, Shubhranshu and Satya have said, with media agencies expanding the mandate into storytelling, community and stuff like that, what does true partnership look like for you? Because I know for a long period of time you are on one side, now that role has changed. So what does really, in today's context, what does a true partnership mean for you?
See, I actually wanted to simplify the problem of agency and marketer relationship. If I look at the media job or agency job, I look at it as three distinct jobs. One is the understanding of the consumer. And over a period of time, it has moved from a secondary research to primary research to first-party data. Now, a lot of insights come from artificial intelligence, creative, all of that. Right? So I think essentially, clients are looking for better understanding of consumer. And you can keep evolving on that space using any form of technology or any form of data signals or any form of hands-on consumer research. The second part of that job is actually content solutions. Now, whether a content solution is a simple idea or is it a advertiser-funded program, is it a short video, long video form? So any form of creativity comes in the form of content. I think and in each of these systems, and the third part I will say is about commerce. And I'm loosely putting it as commerce, but it's ROI, right? Any form of return path. Where am I spending? Am I getting the bang for the buck? Now, a lot of it becomes transactional conversation on a CPM, CPRP, or is it, boss, I want to shop now, sell now, is everything that I do can be connected. I think over a period of time, when I talk about partnership and I look at agencies evolving, all of this has been enriched at a various points. And now today, agencies are investing in first-party data. Agencies are investing in a technology where they can buy and they can connect first-party data to social platforms, to OTT platforms, to even look at whether I can segment television audiences in a way that I can address that audience. So I think more and more what we have seen in true partnership is a client gets what it wants. The reason I'm saying is because when a client starts demanding more enriched data, more actual segmentation, more connection of first-party data, the agency bends backwards to get it done. I think that's where I think we have seen, I will loosely terming it as agencies, but I've seen better client teams and transactional client teams. I think that's the difference that we have seen. And whenever agency demands this, publishers like us bend backwards to say, oh, the consumer is now connected. It's going through 3 screens. Can I tell you what is best way of planning across connected screens? We are investing a lot in making sure we service those agencies which actually push us to say, can I advertise on TV, mobile, CTV, all screens in a measured way? And that return path conversation is a very qualified. The other part is, what we have seen is, increasingly clients are looking for what are the innovative ways of storytelling. And I think a lot of client teams come back to us, push us, integrated solutions. And I'll give an example. We are launching a program in the month of July. We are actually having a conversation with a client where client wants to actually have a marketing campaign starting now itself to tie up with the program in a way that the product, the philosophy is actually integrated into the program. And that when a client demands is looking for true partnership. The agency is already talking to us, the client is involved at the marketing, and the whole marketing campaign is going to be decided by the law. And that's true partnership. We have many examples of clients coming either directly or through agencies where they're making content, and OTT is a space they can actually do both. They're able to do data targeting, consumer targeting, and also do the storytelling. Last but not the least is the return path conversations. I think a lot of, and both ends, right? If you look at some clients are actually very, very focused on everything that they do has to be linked to a shop now. And that is going to the other extreme of performance marketing. And some clients are still in the stage where they're in the awareness stage and brand building stage, so they don't worry about so much about. I think end of the day, if partnerships, I mean, for example, I'll give an example. We are tied up with a global partner where we are actually knowing retail offtake. Now, we often say television is a less measured medium. Now, we are linking television advertising to actually looking at retail offtake. Now, that's the amount of level of partnership we go for clients to see when you do advertising on multiple screens, what happens when you advertise on a small screen versus big screen or CTV, and look at actual retail offtake at that point in time. It's not about whether medium works or not, it's about whether your money distribution across mediums is working for you.
Okay, I think there's a lot that you've said, Ajit, and I'm going to pick on one or two elements from that as a segue to my next question. It's a debate which is not just a local debate, but a global debate, and this is around brand versus performance. So, and at the heart of it, Satya, I'm going to invite you first, and then anybody can jump in, because this is something with the extreme short-termism of the boards expecting some magic to happen quarter after quarter, the pressure, particularly listed companies, that's also seeping in even more so on the unlisted space from a valuation perspective. What is the mental model for a tech giant like you on brand versus performance on a very realistic, so of course there are white papers, and I'm sure the audience out here is, have read their share of Byron Sharp and Les Binet. But in a practical sense, how do you resolve this, or what is the mental model between brand versus performance? Is it even right to look at brand versus performance? So I'm going to, I know it's a very tricky topic, but some provocation from all you experts.
Glad to. I think the mental model is brandformance. Right, that's really the mental model to think about, right? And taking an example of what one of your teams has done for a customer like Royal Enfield, the brief would have started with getting more leads in, but then how do you use the marketing cloud, CDP or a solution like ADH to actually then better understand that journey and calibrate that campaign again. What we've also seen is that, because we live in that duality between YouTube and search, what we have actually seen is that branding presence on YouTube actually drives more organic search queries for your brand, for your category, and things like that. So it's very interlinked. And understanding that, which is what the agency partner is really sitting out there and trying to do, and then coming up with the right solution is what is more important. So Shubhranshu is today, 10 years ago, maybe his OKR was, create top-of-mind awareness at 3+ and things like that. But today, he is probably being judged by the number of cars he sells, right? Which is why Shubhranshu is actually investing on his own YouTube channel. Congrats, it's crossed like 1 million subscribers, all the good work that you and ours have done. But it's no longer just limited to, let me just create a 30-seconder that's just talking about an attribute or two, and then wait for the consumer to walk in. It's how do you draw that line between brand and performance? That mental model is brandformance. Yeah. And I'm proud to say that every partner that we work with, every agency partner that we work with, has successfully cracked this paradigm, and it's been great for the customer.
just a build on what you've said, and our experience has been mixed lot from many clients, where particularly clients run in-house performance campaigns, and the dominant thinking there is, a significant portion of the budget should go performance, and intuitively they don't get brand. In that situation, I'm going to request Shubhranshu, what are some of the tips for marketers based on your experience now and past? What should they be doing differently, particularly when a lot of performance in-housing is happening? And I have no view on right now on, this is not about so much of in-housing or not, but assuming that's the right model, how do you solve for this brand versus performance debate?
See, my view is that broadly I feel that this distinction, or at least creating an insulation between the performance and programmatic media and the rest, is actually doing disservice to brand building per se. Because you cannot have a transactionally very robust and healthy brand which is inherently weak or not, people don't aspire for it, and it's not seen as rich and vibrant. If it were so, then why would people be transacting? And a lot of that has to do with the way in which technology has been, dished out to clients, and they've blindly adopted a lot of it. About a year ago, I was in a workshop, and I won't name the large tech platform, and they said, every time that you have a seasonal discount, you're one click away from finding the next buyer. I said, why would I invest millions and millions of rupees in reaching the nearest customer to tell them there is a discount? If I had to spend millions and millions of rupees, might as well find a client who will buy at a premium. So I think there is a lot of performance-based delusion that is being served out as tech enablement, which is false. Secondly, I think the reason it does disservice is because there is a lot of power in signaling to people at large. And I think there are three parts that media agencies help us do. One is to create awareness and consideration. The other is to build viable associations. But the third most important thing is to cue bigness, in the sense that everybody must respond and relate to the brand in broadly similar ways. Otherwise, it is not a brand. And the contradiction is that everybody is damn excited about hyper-personalization, right? It's as if my entire world is existing in a silo which is completely distinct from Satya or Rathi's silo. It is not true, because there are so many need states in which we act as a community, as a cohort, as a group of people, as Indians, as humans, right? So I think the more brands hit big buttons, the better the response rate is also likely to be. But there is fear now, because how do I divorce myself from the running train? How do I stop my lead generation and go to making the brand healthier? Lastly, it's about scale, right? Because a lot of performance media is now baked in. It's actually baked into annual plans. It is done week after week, month after month. So that line item is not touched. What is often touched is just brand spend. And so if you make brand discretionary but performance mandatory, you're fighting a tiger with a toothpick, right? It doesn't happen like that. So you have to have a rich, strong brand, and you have to have performance on the back of that richness. Also, I think this whole, I don't like the concept of media. Media is actually, many of you in the audience, when I began life in Hindustan Lever in 99, we didn't talk of the media agency. We were talking to agencies, but we were talking to the guy who did print and then outdoor and then this and then that, right? This is a sort of a semiotic fluke that I'm in media. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. You're in the business of finding consumers, making them believe that this brand or these set of brands are important in my life. I should give it time of my day, adopt them into my life, and then if I like it, tell others about it. This is the role, this is the partnership that adds value. So these, artificially created separations are now becoming permanent, and in time it will only lessen and weaken all of us together.
But there is one or two important areas I want to touch upon, because it's very interesting, some different perspectives and good tips coming from everyone. The modern marketing media world, and I'm taking a leaf from what Shubhranshu said. I didn't want to make it only about media or media agencies, but let's call it modern marketing media world. There's a lot which is happening. The last few minutes that we have discussed, if you can quickly, each one of you, and whoever wants to jump in can jump, what kind of talent do you think that from your respective domain perspective that you need to make the marketing, the modern marketing a superpower? What kind of, because we are all used to getting talent from a certain background. Is it still relevant? Maybe yes, maybe no. What do we have to do? So there is a media agency head, there's a tech head, there is a CMO here. Each one of you from your domain, if you can just give some very quick 1-2 minute perspective, and then I have one last question, which is going to be a fun question. So
I think it's not approaching it from a talent perspective. I think it's approaching it from how you are structured in your organization. How you are breaking the silos and allowing different capabilities to work together, different capabilities to connect together, right? Like I said, it's about connect or die. It's about connecting data to data, connecting capability to capability, right? And that's what we are attempting to do, right? And of course, while you're evolving in this day and age with AI and everything coming in, it's also about ensuring that you are addressing the complexities, for your client and your brand and all the marketing challenges that they are facing today, right? Let's face it, I mean, we spoke about all of it right now, right? It's about how you stitch it together, right? And for that, I think the best thing that one can do and what we are doing in our organization is breaking the silos and ensuring that when we are talking to the client and we are sitting at the table, you have capabilities across commerce, influence, go-to-market, loyalty, media, creativity, storytelling, all coming together, working together and delivering to that, particular brief, right? If I have to go down to the brass tacks of a campaign or a campaign brief, right? So it's not only about just evolving yourself to step up to what's happening in the world out there today, and probably humanly not possible for one person or one talent that you're going to hire who's going to address all of that. It's to ensure that you build structures within your organization that is allowing everybody to collaborate, everybody to connect, everybody to get all the relevant capabilities together to address the client needs.
Yeah, I think I'll just pick up that thought. I mean, media has become very fragmented, very specialized. So obviously, our talent needs probably are now data architects, data scientists, technology partner, creativity. I think that's obvious, right? So all of us need multiple. But I feel one thing is consistent that I've observed, and I think the reason I'm saying this overtly is also we went through a merger. Last 3-4 months, we went through a huge merger. We have broken down models. We have broken down screens. Now we are doing combined selling. I think one thing very clearly what is coming out as a talent need is the ability to integrate and that hunger to learn. I think this is not a very easily locatable talent, but one thing that distinguishes a good person from an average person is the hunger to learn. I think one of the things that I personally look at when I evaluate 1,000 people in sales that we have is, do you have the hunger? Because none of us sitting here has learned technology, AI, anything that we speak from our college, from our previous jobs, and we are all learning on the course. I think a lot of people that, even if it's a technology partner, if that person doesn't know what's the used business case, what is the ROI for the client, he will be an engineer for life. And I think that's one of the skills that I feel is in the area of specialization, in the area of fragmentation. We find this as a lacking skill, and good people who want to learn on the course and ability to integrate the multiple practices into a conversation and making sure that the integration can happen is a skill that we always look for.
Just add to what he said,
Yep.
right? I mean, look at it today when you're going and meeting clients. We are probably bringing bizarre sets of talent together. Production and commerce collaborating. Creative and tech and media and out-of-home collaborating, right? I think that's one of the biggest changes that I'm seeing from earlier to now. And look at all the awards and the entries that you might have seen yesterday. It's all about collaboration and connectivity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have a specific persona in mind, right? Which is, I think agency partners should be thinking of hiring more people who are what I call systems thinkers. I'll tell you why. I want to illustrate with two examples, right? Earlier, when you would plan a campaign, data would be analyzed last. But now, data is actually what comes before a campaign is even thought of, first-party data, lookalike audiences, and things like that. Earlier, you would start a campaign with perhaps the creative idea, but now a whole lot of folks are actually thinking about, the starting point as commerce, which is, how is the sale going to happen? So I think systems have got inverted. So folks who can understand, how the system works and be able to think about how they are interoperable, interchangeable, and things like that is the kind of persona. I'm not saying everybody has to be like that, but enough and more of those kind of folks are needed.
Yeah.
I would say in marketing, I mean, I'm not talking about what the agencies, etc., require. In marketing, we need people with lots of common sense. We need people who have confidence. And most importantly, we need people who are optimistic. Because I think marketers have generally withdrawn from even the classical 4Ps. Pricing, place, product, not so much of a say. They are happy to play in the little sandpit of promotion. And therefore, I think we need to take back some space, and optimistic, happy, confident people are required. It reminds me of this story in the Panchatantra about two kids going back from their Pathshala, and a tiger starts to chase them, right? And they're running. One guy tells the other, I don't think we'll be able to outrun the tiger. He says, no, buddy, I just need to outrun you. And that's the kind of situation we are in with the technology that's catching up. That, AI may well be mankind's most costly mistake or its greatest invention. We don't know yet. But in any case, I think optimistic, confident, happy people will make a difference. In Hindustan Lever, when I joined, they used to say, hire for competencies and train for skills. I think that's a good formula to have.
Wonderful. I think, what is that one thing we do now that would have sounded crazy 5 years ago for each one of you?
Yeah, I can go. So I want to talk about the structure of my team and how it has evolved, right? At one point of time, it used to be called the media team or the media agency team. But now we're called marketing partners. So now I have a team that works very closely with, some of the media opcos, one team that works with creative opcos, one team that works with AI and tech opcos, content opcos, and things like that, right? So I think that was something that we would have, not done 5 years ago, but that's how we're structured. And the other thing is my team built an edtech platform for agency partners, given that, capability building is such an important part of this thing. So a lot of, we would have never thought of building an edtech platform just for our partners, which is self-serve and people can learn as they go in that sense. So I think that's changed.
Great examples. Who is wanting to go now? Okay, Ajit, go.
I actually will explain from a live example of what I was actually struggling. In media parlance, we create World Heart Day for a brand. We create special days and moments. So we were struggling in the month of May or 28th. There is World Menstruational Hygiene Day. And I was struggling to say, nobody from my team came up with ideas saying that, we could do this for some brand, we could do this for some brand. So I am going for a client meeting. I thought, I need something in my table to say something. So I went to ChatGPT and I wrote saying, World Menstruational Hygiene Day, I need Indian brands with their current philosophy, with their current positioning, what can be extended? It gave me 10 ideas. 3 I rejected basis my knowledge of the brand. But those 7 ideas, if I tell a marketer the insight and the theme of those ideas, it took a female brand, it took a male brand like Gillette and said what they can do for women idea. And all those ideas, if I talk to a marketer, I'm telling you the first responsibility, how can we do it? And that's the level I wouldn't have thought. We would have held 3 brainstorming sessions. We would have taken a week to get back to a client.
Yep.
Came in seconds to me.
Thanks, Ajit. Any parting words from Shubhranshu on the same
No,
thing?
I think he's spoken about it. I think accessibility of information, this knowledge has been democratized and everybody wants to confirm, corroborate and ratify. I'll just take 20 more seconds. My son, and this is almost exactly 5 years ago, we had just got that Alexa thingy at home and he wasn't studying. This was during the COVID period. My wife said, online he doesn't do anything. So I gave him one long lecture on how I used to prepare for the JEE and go to tuitions at 5 o'clock in the morning. And what I have become by hard work and this, that. So he's lying on the sofa and he tells Alexa, Alexa, who is Shubhranshu Singh? He says, I don't know, but I'm learning every day. He says, loser. So he says, you might as well have slept. Why did you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning? So the point is, people have multiple sources of information. No one word is taken as the gospel truth.
Thank you. Very, very interesting example. We started with Rathi. What is it that you do?
What we did 5 years back to now, I still don't have one name, but it's so complicated. I think we are, it's all about real-time data, storytelling, linking, joining the dots from building awareness to transaction. I just think that we need to rename ourselves, and I don't know, I'll leave it out to everybody else to, come up with something relevant and innovative, but I think media agency is not a shirt that fits us anymore. I think it's...
Thank you. That's it, guys. Super fun. Thanks for giving a candid response, and from the response from the audience itself, I don't need to say.